on Sunday. We can't have a final without opponents for Mohill, and they come in the shape of St Mary's. And I'm joined by three older statesmen of the club. It's been 25 years since ye faced that stage yourselves, lads, in a county final. But I'm joined by Kevin McKenna, Kevin Glancy and Gene Bohan. Lads, welcome to the programme.
Thanks, Breifne.
Thanks, Breifne.
Now, the reason you're all here is because not only are you all county champions in your own right from that in 95, amongst other title victories, but you all are in the rather, I suppose, salubrious position of being able to watch your sons. We'll talk about Oisin in a second, but watch your sons win a county championship, hopefully on Sunday in the county final against Mohill. We mentioned Oisin, we might as well start there. Oisin, of course, won't be on the field on Sunday, but is an integral part of that squad with St Mary's this season?
Yeah, feeling disappointed for him, actually gutted for him, as he is himself, that he won't be part of it, but that's the joys of football, as we all know. He'll be with the lads on Sunday. I think he's going to do the warm-up with them or whatever, just to be part of it, and I think it's a good idea that he would be part of it, just for hopefully maybe down the line he might be in another county final and he'll have experienced the county final day, being part of the build-up or whatever, you know. So yeah, it's disappointing for him, but we're all delighted that St Mary's are in the county final, and delighted for all the young lads, the older lads and management, and it's been a great buzz around the club all week, so it's been super.
Of course, he did start the championship in that corner forward berth, which you know all too well yourself. Centre back on the team, James Glancy, Kevin, you're responsible for him. He's the same age now as that day in 1995. That similarity, what do you take out of that?
Well, I suppose there's a bit of a contrast there, because that was I was coming to the end of my career at that stage. It was my second last year, I think, playing senior, whereas I think James has a few more years if he wants to at this level. But James, that was only my second county final. I played in 93 and 95, but James has played in numerous county finals. His first one was in 2006, and he has won a few and lost a few. Ironically, his first one was against Mohill in 2006, where he lost, but our last victory was in 2013, and James captained the team that year. So contrasting experiences for him in that, but I was just delighted to be playing at the time, and I was just thrilled. I was a substitute that day, but I got on for the second half, and I was just so delighted to get some action that day, and also that we won, obviously.
It's always a bit nicer when you win. Kevin, you were cornerback that day.
I was, yeah.
And your responsibility, Paddy, will be lining out in the defence for St Mary's as well. Again, mirroring kind of your own situation 25 years ago.
So the difference now is it's a completely different game, as you know. You know, a cornerback is an attacking back. He could be marking a third midfielder. So it's a changed game compared to 20 years ago. I know for a fact I never crossed the halfway line. I was quite happy in the full back line, staying there and not attacking at all. So it is a different game, but there's a lot more responsibilities now compared to when we played at Sailors. Would you agree?
Yeah.
What's your memories from the county final day in 1995?
First memory would be that it was an absolute gorgeous day. I think it was a great summer back then, and I just remember Park Sean being the pitch was actually burnt with the sunshine. It was a lovely day. It was a huge day for us. I just looked at the picture last night. They put a picture up on Facebook of the team from 95 and the team from this year, and I just showed it to Anne, my wife, and I just said we were ready to win. It just went through all the faces, and you could just see a determination. It just struck me the determination that was in the eye. And we had drew at Mohill in 93, and we'd lost the replay, well beaten in the replay, I think, but Hugh Carlton had got injured that year. So I think we were ready to win a county final, and it was just a super experience, just to get over the line and to win it for St Mary's after waiting for so long, you know. So, and then of course the celebrations afterwards, with that was just, never forget those, you know. It's just one of those days that you know, we were lucky enough to win a couple of championships after, but I think that's the one that stands out, you know. So
Kevin, your thoughts on the day in terms of, I suppose, at the start of the game you're lining up the national anthem, all that's going through your head. What's your biggest concern at that point when you're lining out cornerback against established county players?
Just getting over the nerves was my biggest problem. Once the ball is thrown in, you forgot about that, and after that, just mark your man and keep him scoreless if you could, and It was just the way the game. It was a kind of a. I think it was about 8 points to 6 or something. That it wasn't. There wasn't a lot of scores in the game itself, but I remember being a very, very defensive game. Trying to keep them out.
Yeah, because county finals tend to be a bit like that, a little bit cagey, a little bit nervy. We've 2 attacking teams on Sunday. Kevin, do you expect to see, Kevin Glancy that is, do you expect to see that same nerves creeping in, or are these 2 teams both ready for a really open game of football?
You'd imagine that it would be a sort of a shootout based on some of the performances up to now and the score lines up to now. But I don't think it will be, because finals are for winning. And nobody cares whether it's a good game. The winners especially don't care if it's a good game or a bad game. It's all about the result really in a county final. And I think both teams will be very aware of that, and they'll be going out with the objective of winning the game, and it'll be very, very cagey early on, I'd say. Kevin is right. In 95, we just won by 2 points, and it was a very scrappy game. But like Jean was saying, St Mary's had only won 1 county final, would you believe, before that was in 1958. So there was a huge drought there at the time, and we had lost, I think I was just looking at the statistics, we had lost 7 county finals between 58 and 95. So as Jean says, we weren't going to let that continue. That was no way were we going to lose that game that day. We had a manager in Michael Tunney who was a born winner, and he instilled that in us as well, in training and everything leading up to that game. So that game was all about winning, and I think Sunday is going to be the same. Obviously, yeah, but obviously it'll be the same for Mohill. Like, it'll be the same for them. They'll want to win this game. I was reading an interview of Daniel Beck there, and he says it's the memories of losing that'll drive them on, and it's the same for I think for both teams. Teams don't want to lose a final, and especially it's a special year this year for all sorts of reasons, and it'll be memorable to win it.
Talking about the memories of losing games, Jean, let's chat about the Mohill game earlier in the season. Obviously the same 2 opponents played out here just behind us here in the Hive in Park Nevmora in Carrick-on-Shannon. It wasn't a great day for St Mary's, but they really seem to have pulled something out of the fire, and they've come out of that whole scenario maybe for about a week or so with 2 fantastic results to get out of the group in the first instance, which didn't look likely that evening, I think, to anyone neutral. But they've really pushed on to new levels that maybe people outside of the club didn't really believe were there.
I'd say even some of us, even that evening, I don't know if it was the bravest person would suggest, I think, that we were going to pull ourselves out of that. I think maybe we were looking at who we were going to try and avoid in relegation at that stage. That's as stark as it was at the time, But in fairness to the lads, they, I think Dennis had obviously pulled a few strings with them, and tugged at maybe different things that maybe someone within the club wouldn't have been able to do as well, and he got them sparked up for the Aughawillan game, which was an absolute brilliant performance. To go down to Aughawillan and win, you've achieved something when you go down there and win. So coming away from there, we knew that they'd turned a corner. So they're a great bunch of lads, and hopefully they'll be able to push on Sunday now.
In terms of other similarities that are going, I know I rang you to ask you to come in the other evening, Kevin, and you said, I'm busy getting the pub together now.
That's right.
My research tells me that back in 95, when you were preparing for that final, the Anchorage, as most people in the town would know, you're the proprietor there, was being open, and it affected your ability to train and to be part of that squad into the Connacht Club Championship, according to Ivan Keeney. At least my information might be a bit wrong. But in terms of that similarity of you're now coming out of and you're reopening that pub, is that a good omen?
Well, to me it is a good omen, definitely, yeah. And the fact that Paddy's involved in the team, and we've got that connection with St Mary's again. So hopefully they'll come out with a win, and we'll have those celebrations we had 25 years ago, because that win was huge for the town. It was probably huge for us in the Anchorage as well, because I was part of the team, and the crowds of people that came in after and talked about it for weeks and weeks after, saying what a great game it was, and to finally win the county title after all these years. So I haven't forgotten those days. They were fantastic days. So
it's been around that time since a football team at least, we might talk a bit about the hurling in a minute, but a football team at least has had a really good run in the Connacht Club Championship after that. You got to the final that year against Corofin. I know Alan Gales got to a final as well. It's been a pretty bleak I suppose, hunting ground for Leitrim teams in the last 20 odd years. How important is that aspect of winning a county championship and having that ambition to go on and really push on, or is that realistic for a club from Leitrim?
I think I'm not jumping in there. I think when St Mary's won it, anytime St Mary's won a championship, we were adamant we were going to make a burst on and push on. And in '95, we got a great run. We beat Eastern Harps first, and then we beat Clonagale in a semi-final, and we came up against Corofin in the final. I think it was just a step too far for us, in the Corofin were that little bit further down the road than us. They were more experienced, and I think we landed at the gates that day in Corofin in our bus, and we were all hyped up and excited. We couldn't get into the gates first, they wouldn't let us in. We got in through the gates with the bus, tried to get into the dressing room, they wouldn't let us into the dressing room. So psychologically they had us before we even got onto the pitch, and then when we got onto the pitch, it was the last game, the last Connacht club match played on a club game. That was the last one. They changed it after that. It had to be a county ground. So they used every little thing they could that day to get a psychological effect on us, and I think that played a part in it as well, you know. So, but going back to your original point, I think we always tried to push on in Connacht if we could, you know. It didn't happen every year, but I think it's vital for whether it's St Mary's or Mohill this year, whoever. Well, obviously it's not going to happen this year, but whenever it happens again, that, you know, push on in Connacht, you know.
I suppose, that there is no Connacht Club Championship this year. I suppose the girls do have one, but the boys one is cancelled. But it's that ambition of a team that wins it looking to push on and really not just be happy with being the best in our neck of the woods.
Well, I think St Mary's record really in the Connacht Club has been pretty good. I know maybe recently, but in 2003 we ran Kiltoghert to a point over in Clune, and Kiltoghert went on to win the All-Ireland. And I've heard interviews with the Mehans and them boys afterwards, and they said they were lucky to get out of that game, and it was the tightest game they had in that championship. I know they only won the All-Ireland against the Gaeltacht by a point or two as well. Scorelines were similar, but they felt that they were very, very lucky to get out of Clune that day with a win. So, you know, when we do get out of the county, you know, we have no inhibitions about who we're playing, no matter what county they're from. And I think, talking about winning Connacht Club, I think the Carrick Hurlers, I'm going to mention them, like in 2018, like in November 2018, we were the first Leitrim team to win an adult Connacht title, and for years we've been trying, and you know, people were dropping heads and saying it would never happen, you're playing a Galway team, forget about it. But we kept at it, and we got there in the end, and there's no reason why a Leitrim team can't do the same in football, regardless of who they're playing.
I did make the distinction football team, and I better make another distinction. You're the first male team to win a Connacht Championship. Yeah, females teams have done it as well, or I'll get hammered for that too. Kevin, you mentioned something that I'd like to just probe a little bit, and that's about that you're back involved with St Mary's. Let's talk about that for a moment, because obviously you played, you got into business, you mightn't have been directly involved in the club on a day-to-day basis like the two lads would have been from being involved and been around, but now your kids have brought you back into the fold.
Yeah, my two youngest lads, Brian and Andrew, were involved in the 17s, and I've been involved with Tom Crow, helping them out the last 2 years. Last year we won the under 17 title, this year, a few weeks ago we lost the under 17s, as we all know. But it's really got me interested in St Mary's football again, you know, because, you know, I was involved myself, but to see them playing again with the club, it just brings back all my own memories of playing with St Mary's. And then Paddy's on the senior team, so, you know, I'm going to be involved and helping out as best I can over these next 10-15 years again, as long as they're involved. So,
of course, Gene, you even went to the next stage and you coached the Leitrim Minors when Oisin was around 2 years ago, 2018. First time that Leitrim won a game at that level in probably, I'm going to get this wrong, but it could be 15 or 16 years, maybe even 17 years. Something
in that region, or we beat Sligo in the championship down in Sligo. Yeah, it was.
Should Terry Hyland be worried? Are you looking for the job?
No, I think Terry's safe enough now. I think that'd be a step too far now, I'm afraid. But no, I really enjoyed the year. It's a huge commitment, you know. People on the outside don't realise the commitment that's involved when you're, you know, it's a step up from the club again. You know, it's just, the time is unbelievable, from organising buses to challenge matches, you know, to gear, to everything. So, but really enjoyed it, and they were a great bunch of lads, very, very talented bunch of lads that that core of that team will be the Leitrim under 20 team this year, you know. So hopefully they might be able to drive on and maybe win a Connacht Championship as well.
But as well as that, a core of that team actually will be the backbone of that St Mary's team on Sunday, because you've got the likes of Paul Keeney and David O'Connell, and Oisin of course won't be involved, but Sean Reynolds was in that squad as well in goal. So
yeah, Patrick was in it as well.
Yeah, so a lot of names. So you know that those lads quite well. What do they like to work with?
They're very good lads. I have worked with a lot of them from they were 6 years of age up on the school pitch up here from the Saturday morning training. And you get a feeling when you get a bunch of lads together. You know, you know early on with them what way they're going to. And you could know early on that those lads, the majority of them, were going to come through. You know, and I don't think we lost anyone along the way. We brought anyone that was involved in the early stages of those Saturday mornings really came the whole way through. And that bunch are very tight. Like they're when you talk about the few you've mentioned there or whatever, and there'll be 3 or 4 more lads with them as well. You know, they're always together. You know, and they've always been together since they've been 6 years of age. So. I heard Paul Keeney being interviewed after the game or something, and I think he was asked the question about himself and David being so young, you know, and he made the contact, well, sure, we're playing together since we're 6, sure, we should know each other by now, you know, and it's the same with the majority of those lads. But I don't think we can get, there's been an awful lot of talk about the young lads in the team this year as well, but I think better not forget about the older lads as well. I think they've played an awful part in this team as well, you know. I think when the chips were down, they dug in and rolled in behind as well, you know. So it's a team effort the whole way through. You know.
Kevin, you've been very involved at the games and stuff. You've been doing the videos and live streaming and that sort of stuff as well. What have you taken out of this season that you've seen? How optimistic are you for your chances on Sunday?
What I've seen from the season is even though we had 2 defeats, which we all know about in the knockout in the group games, I always had a feeling that there was good spirit in this, because I've been dipping in and out of their training sessions since last January, and then of course we had the lockdown. But there was always a good mood in the camp, and I think it needed someone like Dennis coming in to harness all that together, because as Jean says, we have a great kernel of young lads there. We have the nucleus of the older lads there as well, who are always committed and always fit and injury free, thankfully, as well. So there was a good mix there. So it just needed somebody to take a step back, have a look at what was there and harness it together. And I think from the very beginning there was always that mood there that they could go places this year. I know we had a couple of bad defeats, but I knew in my heart and soul that they weren't as bad as those games, those results turned out to be, because we weren't organised in a couple of them. Things went wrong here and there, but obviously the win then against Ahowillan turned everything around. Then confidence started growing, you know, and the results just picked off from there. So to answer your question directly around Sunday, it's going to be a very close game. Mohill are a cracking good outfit with a good manager as well. They have a good mixture of youth and experience as well. They have 6 or 7 lads who are on the county panel, and maybe 5 of them will be starters, you know. So that'll show you the quality that they have. They have deadly forwards. We all know the big name players that they have. So they're going to be, but like it's a sort of a game where small things will make a difference. As I said earlier, I think it's going to be a tight enough game, cagey enough game, and small little things will make the difference on Sunday. You know, hit off the post, a lad getting booked or sent off. Small, you know, things that we can't legislate for. Yeah, but I still think I have a good feeling about this on Sunday. And I'm not into omens or anything like that, but I just think that we have a fitter team, we have a hungrier team, and hopefully on Sunday we'll have a better team.
Kevin is definitely coming out for this. Kevin, how are you fixed for Sunday? Have you got your ticket sorted?
I haven't yet. No, I have to talk to Paddy there to see if he has one for me. We're hoping that he'll have 2 in a way. We'll see.
How hard is it to find tickets? There must be huge interest around the club.
Big interest, yeah.
There's only whatever 100 tickets is it or something like that, and when you take all the players into account, all the panel, and if you give them a couple of tickets each, you haven't too many to distribute after that. So there'll be a lot of people looking for media passes. There'll be journalists.
I think I've been asked by about 27 people if they can carry my camera bag at the weekend. I have 1 pass and I will be using it. I can't wait for it. It's going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah,
gentlemen, in terms of, I suppose, predictions for the day, I'm going to put your head on the block, because I didn't do this to Matt Gaffey earlier, and we had Matt in earlier talking about his time in both dugouts, winning championships with both clubs. got predictions? You gonna say it's St Mary's? Is the head gonna?
That's
rule it
very
out?
very hard. You know, people asking me when I'm on the road during the week. There, people saying, you know, how's the game going to go? It's a very hard one to call. You know, from where we've come from to where we are now. Like Mohill at the beginning of the year, every year they're going to be, you know, one of the favourites to win a championship. As we've talked about there, they have the names that everyone knows. You know, I suppose our boys are maybe only trying to get there. So look, I suppose Mohill are the raging hot favourites. They have to be. They have the title behind them. But I think we'll turn up on the day. We'll turn up and just see what happens. You know.
When you've nailed your colours to the
Yeah,
last
well,
thing.
I'm confident that St Mary's will win, not in an arrogant or a cocky way by any means, but I just have a belief in them that they'll win it, and I believe that they're good enough to win it. I said earlier, they're fit enough, they're young enough, and they're good enough. So I'm confident that they'll win it, but it won't be easy, and it won't be by a huge margin.
Kevin, thoughts?
Oh, I've no doubt in my mind they're going to win it.
The two captains
look,
have their faces up in the whole dressing room.
Yeah.
The pressure's on Mohill. You know, I think the pressure's on Mohill. They're hot favourites. St Mary's were written off there 3 or 4 weeks ago. They were no good. There were people saying they're going to be relegated. So I think they can go out and play with confidence, and they've nothing to lose. If they can come home with a win. I think definitely.
Yeah, I think since that Mohill game that we talked about, they've let the shackles off a little bit, and everybody's been a bit freer, and I think it's been great to watch them, and I think it's going to be a cracking game on Sunday, and I suppose maybe we'll see Conor Farrell and Nicholas McQueenie lift the cup on Sunday evening. Lads, the best of luck to you. Hope you enjoy the game. Hope you get a ticket. Very important, and thanks for coming in.
And thank you, Breifne, for all your coverage in this. It's really been an amazing year as regards coverage and everything, and the whole professionalism around it. You're doing a great job, and thanks very much for that.
I'll give you the final later, Kevin.